Howdy mates, how are we doing today? Here's a part 3 video for Sunday, May 8th, 2022. This is still out at the Peace River Botanical Gardens and Sculpture Gardens, just to the east of Punta Gorda. So just up ahead, as you can see that structure out there, that is a butterfly house, where you get to see various plants such as milkweed, fresh lime, and even button sage, and lantanas, and passion vine, which I think I already said. But those are all, varieties of native plants that you can find down here in Florida. So with that being said, some butterflies actually rely on those plants as a host plant. So that's why here at a place like this, they want to promote the protection and the variety of butterflies that exist down here, which are of course all native to the state. So it's quite a neat little spot if any of you ever have a chance to visit here. But over here, you have a chance to learn a little bit about some of the ferns that exist. And of course, ferns are a seedless vascular plant. So rather, instead of reproducing by means of seeds, they reproduce by the means of spores. So that means usually in ferns, on the underside of the frond, they have these little tiny individual holes that release those spores to thus allow reproduction. But it still has vascular tissue because, as you can see on here, they still produce leaves and indeed have veins to carry chlorophyll. So what's fascinating is they are literally the only type of seedless vascular plant that's, basically, in other words, ferns are one of the most well-known seedless vascular plants, and they only make up a very small group. And with that being said, ferns are actually some of the oldest groups of plants. These have even coexisted with the dinosaurs. So it just tells you that they've been around for quite some time. They were even around before trees became existent. But yeah, you can see the underside there. You can see like those brown little dots. Those are your sporophytes. Those are what release those spores that I was just discussing. But essentially this Botanical Gardens, it is a non-profit organization. I would absolutely volunteer here if I could, if only it were a little closer. Otherwise, it would be way too much of a commute all the time. So it was started by the Tetrault Family, and it was designated as a nonprofit in 2007. But within the 10 years, it was not until 2017 that these botanical gardens officially became open to the public, to also provide education as well about, our native flora and some exotics too, in addition. So like even to my left here, we've got something called a blue Jacaranda. What I like about this place too is that it gives like a little bit of an overview. It just talks about how they've been used to decorate Christmas trees and dried arrangements. Just look at that. It has like a bipinnate setup too. See that? Kind of reminds me of black cherry, which is a tree common in temperate climates up north. But what they mean by bipinnate means it's alternate of each other. On each side of the stem are tiny little leaves that are also alternate as well. So hence that's why it is called the bipinnate leaf arrangement. So it's quite neat. And actually here we've got another great example of a native fern found in Florida. These are the resurrection ferns. Now, resurrection ferns are given the name because once there's a period of rain, these will come back to life. But when there is no rain, they will shrivel up, just like this one right here. So it's a lot of plants are basically named in general according to the characteristics. So thus, when it actually comes to botany, it's pretty basic. But then of course it gets much more difficult when you have plants only known by the scientific name. Alright, give me a second, you guys. But yeah. So you don't only see this patch of land, but you can also go across the street, not too far from here, where you can have access to the Peace River, hence the name of the place, and even learn about the mangroves too. Because at one point this land was going to actually be under development, especially with real estate. But were it not for the Tetrault family buying the 30-acre property, we wouldn't have had this. So, at one point, this was all mostly just wetland right here. So it's quite neat. And you figure, since it's only 5 years old, this place is still expanding. I mean, it's nothing as big as Marie Selby Botanical Gardens, but it is a work in progress. What's cool, down here ahead of me, they actually have a native plant nursery, which is actually quite neat to see. My thing is sometimes though, don't get me wrong, I would love to get more native plants if I could, especially to incorporate them on our property. But sometimes they can be expensive. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel funny about that, personally. Like, I think for those who really want to try making an effort to do better for, their lawn or property, it should be a little more affordable. But that's just me. For someone who actually, who's a prospective naturalist and has a bit of an understanding of these plants, they should be a bit more affordable. But needless to say, this is a really cool place. If you haven't been, I would highly recommend it. So alright, you guys, take care, enjoy your Sunday, and Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. Have a Sunday fun day, mates. Take care.